Yes, hello, welcome back to the Rugby League Forecast podcast for round 4 of the NRL competition in season 2026. And what a round it was. Um, it was a round full of upsets. It was so unpredictable. And it really does show that anyone and any team on their day can win any game. It was, it just reminded me of 2025, the way in which um, sides were able to win, such as the Cowboys beating Melbourne, um, Newcastle without Dylan Brown, Kalen Ponga beating the Bulldogs. It was absolutely fantastic. Now, this is the review show of the week, and I'm going to go through the Manly Sea Eagles and the Sydney Roosters. That was on Thursday night, where Manly lost 16 points to 13, but they were winning at halftime, the Manly Sea Eagles, by 2 points. And I was really intrigued to see, and I couldn't understand how Manly were winning. They scored a try in the second tackle of the game, shifting it to the outside backs, shifting it to Garrick and Saab, and back in the inside to Tommy Turbo. It started well for Manly, but at the end of the day, the Roosters were too good in the second half. Manly, I didn't expect Manly to win this game as much as I wanted them to win. I thought the Roosters lineup, they had too much experience, too much honestly, too much footy IQ. The halves, the fullback, just too much experience. The forward pack was way stronger than Manly's. For Manly, it was great to see young Simeone Lafai get his debut, but it was a disappointing second half for Manly. In the first 40 minutes, I spoke to my dad at half time, and we said to each other, we're just not confident in the second half of Manly winning this. It was I was surprised that they were winning at halftime, which gets me onto the Roosters. Now, the Roosters won that game. Congratulations to them. But in my opinion, they should have won this game 40 to 50 points. And it's really interesting to see what Daly Cherry Evans and Sam Walker is doing throughout the game. And that was the first game out of the first few games I've seen the Roosters play where Daly Cherry Evans was playing as the main playmaker in this game. He was just kicking it to the corners, putting up bombs. They played a real conservative way of football, the Roosters. They were happy to just tough it out in the wet conditions, play the long game, and suffocate Manly. That's exactly what they did. Manly ran out of gas pretty early within the second half, and the Roosters started to dominate. And as I mentioned, the score 33 points to 16. Sammy Walker kicking a field goal in the second half. I thought when Hugo Savala came on, he looked really good. I thought he looked really fit, strong. He looks like he's had a really good preseason at the Roosters. I was really happy to see Hugo Savala do a really good job for them. Billy Smith, very unfortunate to see him going down with an injury. He just has no luck, Billy Smith. Really unfortunate to see that. But at the end of the day, the Roosters prevail, winning that game. Manly, on the other hand, I don't know what Seabold was thinking, starting Wakeham at hooker. Jake Simpkin is a dummy half. He's been in the NRL now for 4 or 5 years. Originally at the West Tigers. I just can't understand his thinking of starting Wakeham, who traditionally is a halfback, not a dummy half. And I just can't understand it. And I've had my say on the Seabold sacking. I think he would be an amazing assistant coach at any club. But for me, he's just not a head coach at a club. I think he's very good with detail. Obviously, he's very organised and technical. But as a head coach, being a player manager, which I think we're seeing more of these days in coaching, rather than I think a lot of the assistants in attack and defence sort out the attack and defence. And I think a lot of coaching these days is making sure that they can get the best out of their players and as men as well. So I think there's half of the coaching job now is actually managing young men and finding the right balance of the roster. For me, the Roosters should not have been behind at half time. I can't understand the Daly Cherry Evans Sam Walker thing. At the start of this preseason, there was an episode where I previewed the Roosters season, and I said, look, I can't understand the halves situation. So I think by the end of the year, the Roosters will be flying. But my prediction was for the opening 10 weeks, it's going to be really intriguing to see the halves combination between Sam Walker and Daly Cherry Evans start to fire. I look back at the 2018 season when Cooper Cronk came in, and it really took a long time for Cronk and Luke Keary to gel. It took them about 10 weeks in the opening 10 weeks of 2018 to gel with Tedesco and whatnot. I reckon by the origin period to the back end of the year, we'll start to see the very best of the Sydney Roosters. But in my opinion, I mean, I'm a Manly fan. I expected Manly to, if you can't tell, and I expected Manly to lose this game, but I was actually very pleased with Manly's performance in this game in terms of effort, attitude. They showed up. They weren't good enough to win the game, but I thought for the majority of the game, I was actually quite happy with the attack. From Manly at times, and the defence, obviously wasn't good enough. They fell out in the second half, but in my opinion, I thought they put up a good fight for the majority of that game. Congratulations to the Sydney Roosters. I was interested to see Sam Walker not take control with the kicking game. I feel like we see Sam Walker's, if you told me wet weather football, who would be the best short kicker in the game and long kicker in the game, who's got the best kicking game in wet weather football, I'd say Sam Walker. Yet Daly Cherry Evans was doing majority of the kicking. So it's going to be interesting to see the balance. To me, it doesn't look like the Roosters quite understand what they're doing. I feel like they're improvising a lot of the time between Daly Cherry Evans and Sam Walker. So I think there needs to be probably a clearer game plan going forward. Whether or not there's a breakdown in communication between the players and the coaching staff, or perhaps it's just naturally taking time, which is my guess. I think, as I mentioned, it's probably going to take a couple of months to see, really who is going to be the dominant playmaker. So going to be interesting there. For me, the Roosters won at the end of the day. They got the 2 points in tough conditions at Brookvale Oval, which is not easy to do. Perhaps it is at the moment, but for the Roosters, congratulations to them. They were far too good. Let's get on to the first game of Friday Night Football, the Warriors and the Tigers. I'm not going to touch on the Warriors too much because at the end of the day, I thought they actually played pretty good football. They just weren't good enough at the end of the day. I'm really impressed with Sam Healey. So when he came on the field, dummy half, I think he makes a huge difference to the speed in the middle of the ruck. In terms of attack. And I think he's really strong defensively as well. I thought Jackson Ford was great as always. The Warriors, look, it wasn't their best game. In hindsight, would you start Luke Metcalf at 6? If I was head coach of the Warriors, I would have gone Luke Metcalf to start at 6 and Tanner Boyd 7. But in hindsight, perhaps you look back and think, Luke Metcalf is coming back from an ACL injury. He's been out since round 17 last year. Do you give him a game or two in New South Wales Cup to get used to that physical contact again in the NRL games? But at the end of the day, Warriors fans, I thought the Warriors were pretty good. And this is where I'll go on to the Tigers now. So the Tigers beat aside the Warriors that weren't terrible. They weren't disappointing. I thought they played a lot of good football within this game, apart from their defense towards the back end of the game. But for me, this goes to show what a great win from the West Tigers. I thought they were absolutely fantastic against the Warriors. I thought Terrell May was brilliant. Abby Coruscant's leadership as a captain was really, really impressive in this game. And Taruva was great. Buller, his support play. For me, Jareem Buller is one of the best support players in the game at the moment. I thought the Tigers were just having fun. They looked to me as a team that were happy. They weren't playing under pressure, and they looked absolutely fantastic. For me, the best player of the Tigers in the opening few games of their season, of course, they had a bye in round 1. But for me, the best player of the year so far has been Alex Twal. I watch him closely and I think, my God, this guy is at the peak of his career. He's been at the Tigers now since 2017, 2018. And I'd say he was a decent player in the opening few years of his career. The last few years he's really taken control in the middle. I feel like he's really warmed to that leadership role. for me, he has been their best player in the opening few games for the Tigers. I thought he was really impressive in this game. Now, they were very unlucky to lose to South Sydney. If Jerome Luai and Adam Dewey don't go down, I genuinely believe the Tigers probably go on and win that game. They could have been at the top of the ladder, perhaps. Second, of course, Penrith at the top of the ladder with their for and against. But the Tigers fans should be really proud of their performance. And as a rugby league fan, I want to see the Tigers make finals. I don't think they will this year, but in saying that, they are getting closer and closer to rebuilding to a side that is going to be consistent. I want to talk on the two halves in this game, Jock Madden and Adam Dewey. Adam Dewey got carried off the field, and I genuinely thought that could have been his season. It was a hamstring injury, but it looked really bad. And we know the history with Adam Dewey with his injuries. I did not think we would see him for at least a few months, 2 to 3 months. Maybe that's going over the top, but I genuinely thought seeing him get carried off the field in round 3 against South Sydney Rabbitohs, he will be out for a long period of time. He started at halfback. And I said last week on this podcast, he has been named at halfback. I do not think he will play in this game. He played in the game and he was by far the best player on the field. He has turned in to a really consistent, professional, high quality halfback in the NRL. And I think the Tigers, to see what he was doing in this game was unbelievable. He used to captain this side under Madge Maguire. And I think, honestly, I know Appy Coruscant's captain, but when Coruscant retires and Adam Dewey has now extended his deal, I think Dewey has to be the captain of this side again when Coruscant retires in a couple of years. I think Dewey was unbelievable in this game. And Jock Madden, look, he was originally at the Newcastle Knights, and they didn't want him. He was an Australian schoolboy. They didn't want him. He goes to the Tigers, had a decent stint under Madge as a backup player. Didn't work out at the Tigers, went to Brisbane, and the games he played for Brisbane were decent. Like, I remember he beat Manly in Magic Round in 2024 with a field goal. It was a great game of football, that game, but he really took control there, and that's exactly what he did in this game. I love the confidence that Benji Marshall had for Jock Madden in this game. I thought he was absolutely unbelievable. And he's a good quality first grader too, Jock Madden. He can do a job. I think he's a really, really important player. He reminds me a lot like Jack Cogger from the Penrith Panthers. And, he can come in, fill a void, do a good job for you. I thought defensively, and, he made a couple of errors early on in the game, but boy, oh boy, didn't he make up for them. Fantastic win to the West Tigers, 32 points to 14 over the Wars. Honestly, I genuinely thought the Warriors were going to win this by a big margin. It's great to see the Tigers fans proving rugby league fans wrong now with their performances, and we're starting to see a bit of consistency in their side. They look like a team that just went there, had fun, got the 2 points, come home. Like, it just looked like a great trip for them. Congratulations to Benji Marshall. He is seriously becoming one of the best younger coaches in the game. I'm really, really happy for the Tigers. The next game is the Broncos, the Dolphins. The Broncos far too good in this game. Ezra Mam, I thought, was much better in this game. Defensively, still had issues, but in attack, I thought he was really, really dominant. Reece Walsh was very good in this game. Adam Reynolds, wow, bit of Alfie Langer with that grubber kick, getting the ball back. I thought he was absolutely sensational in this game. This is without Payne Haas. I thought Xavier Willison was really good. Corey Pakes, he's a very solid defender, Corey Pakes. I can understand why Madge Maguire kept in a hooker for the majority of last year. The Dolphins, same old Dolphins in terms of they just look very similar to the Dolphins of last year. I'm starting to wonder if they've improved much over the off-season, where they can play high-quality football, they can play really impressive football in attack, but defensively they really let themselves down. If they can fix up their defense and become a really good defensive side, they can make the top 4. I didn't have them in the 8 this year, and I really, really wanted to, and I hope I'm wrong, because I love the Dolphins. I want to see them do well. But at the end of the day, their defense is a huge concern. They need to work on their defense. I thought Cody Nikorima was good. He was really strong alongside Isaiah Katoa. I thought Max Plath at dummy half did a really good job as well. But at the end of the day, their defense was a huge concern. Herbie Farnworth, for me, is up there with one of the best centers this game has seen in the NRL era since 1998 to 2026. He is so good. And my question is, do they rely on him too much? Unfortunately, I thought Selwyn Cobbo was a bit disappointing in this game. He had a couple of nice touches, but of course, Selwyn Cobbo has had an error in his game at Brisbane, and he showed that the other night. He had a couple of errors and really important errors that they didn't need at the time. So Selwyn Cobbo, he just needs to fix that. He needs to work on his game in terms of just play football, safe football. He needs to learn to become a really safe outside back. Once he's got that, then he can go to the next level. We all know Selwyn Cobbo is a great player, but he's also got a lot of great potential. He reminds me like a Manly player called Taniela Paseka, who we all know of, where I know they play completely different positions, but there is so much potential there. They just need to realise the level they can get to. And once they look at themselves in the mirror and realise what they can get to, how good they can be, then I think their game will go to another level very, very quickly. And for Selwyn Cobbo's, I hope it does. He hasn't had the best couple of years in the NRL, being dropped last year, and watching that grand final win from the bench would have been really, really hard for him. He wasn't even part of the bench, from the sideline, I mean. So I'd love to see Cobbo do well. I thought Tony Staggs, I don't know what he's got against the Dolphins. This is my house. I think good on him. It's great theatre. I thought he was fantastic. Really, really good. Very strong defensively in this game too, Tony Staggs. Josiah Karapani, I thought he was really strong as well. I can understand why Madge dropped Cobbo, to be completely honest, to put Karapani in. His kick returns are great, but he's so involved. He gets himself involved. He realises when the forwards are tired. He doesn't ask for instructions. I watched this game really closely. He doesn't wait to be asked from the halves to say, hey, get in there, have a go. He doesn't wait for Paddy Carrigan as well, the leaders of the side. He just gets in there. He does his job, and I think that shows a lot of leadership for a young outside back. Good on Josiah Karapani. And congratulations to the Broncos. It was a good win at Suncorp. They've now won 2 games in a row, of course, beating the Melbourne Storm last week. Good on them. I thought defensively, they've been pretty shithouse the last few weeks, but this game they showed defensively they played for each other in defence, and that's exactly what Michael Maguire would have wanted to see. The Canterbury Bulldogs losing to the Newcastle Knights. If someone told me this time last week, I would have said, you are off your head. Dylan Lucas got sin bin for 10 minutes. Whether or not it was harsh or not, I'm not sure. At the end of the day, they played without Dylan Brown, Kalen Ponga, and there was a sin bin, and they still won this game 24 points to 16. The Newcastle Knights have been absolutely sensational to start the year. Sure, they lost last week against the Warriors at Newcastle, but I still thought they played a decent game of football considering the amount of players that were out. Fletcher Sharp didn't have his best game, but I thought the energy he brought into this side, I think he gave the players around him a lot of confidence. You've got to give credit to the Newcastle Knights, and I think even the Bulldogs fans are shocked of how, I don't think the Bulldogs were poor, but, I don't think they played bad football. I think Newcastle were just too good. A lot like the Warriors and Tigers side, where I don't think it's fair to the Tigers or the Knights this week who won to take anything away from how good they were, because I thought the teams they played were actually pretty good. Interesting to see Lachlan Galvin actually run the ball a lot more. I think he made more hit-ups than any of his forwards in the game. So that was more run meters, I should say. So that was interesting. Burton was good. Crichton probably needs to be more involved. He was very quiet in the first half. They didn't pass the ball much to him in the first half. But I thought Connor Tracy was pretty good as well defensively. Out the back there, Connor Tracy's defence was good, but Newcastle, congratulations to them. And Tyson Frizzell, great to see him cross over the line. Phoenix Crossland has to be one of the toughest players in the game at the moment. I think he's been absolutely sensational for the Newcastle Knights. His nose looked, broken. Obviously, they had to put it back into place at one point, I believe, and congratulations to them. I thought Fletcher Hunt was fantastic at fullback. As I mentioned, Sharp was great. Sandon Smith was absolutely unbelievable. That play on the short side, where Smith went into dummy half, fooled the defence, went the short side. I genuinely didn't think there was enough room to pull off a play like that. Gagai finds, Bradman Best, I think it was, found Dominic Young, who scored a few tries in this game. I thought they were fantastic. Dominic Young had a great game. I thought Jermaine McEwen was really strong, the young back rower coming through there in the number 12 jersey at Newcastle. Congratulations to the Knights. Trey Mooney was fantastic. We've got the Trey Mooney Cup and the Pasami Solo Cup this week between the Knights and the Raiders. Fantastic to see. It's great to see a side that, I predicted them to get the spoon, and I'm very, very, warming to the fact that they probably won't get it. And it's great to see a side that struggled last year start the season so well. What my concern is for Canterbury is their attack. Now, really interesting to see Adam O'Brien last year. He was the assistant coach at he's the assistant coach now at the Bulldogs, and their attack has been pretty ordinary in terms of scoring points in the opening few games of their season. Defense won them the game against the Dragons in Vegas, and defense won them the game against Canberra last week in round 3. In round 4, defense did not win them the game, and their attack didn't either. So in attack, I think Canterbury have been quite poor. I'm sure they would have expected a lot more points in attack, and especially in the games they had won as well. Credit to their defense overall, but they need to score more points, and they need to score them fast. If I'm Cameron Ciraldo, what would I know? But if I'm Cameron Ciraldo, I bite the bullet and say, look, Galvin to 6, Mitch Woods get in there 7, and put Burton as centre. I was interested to see Stephen Crichton step out from that centre position. It looked like he played a bit of 5'8" at times. Burton moved to the centre, then he came into fullback. Connor Tracy moved out to the edge. So they shifted things a little bit in attack. It just didn't work. Adam O'Brien, unfortunately, is the common denominator here. He was the coach of Newcastle last year, where after about round 5, round 6, their attack was just shit house. It was really, really poor. Like, was some of the worst attack I've seen. They didn't win a game from round 17 onwards, round 18 onwards, I should say. Their last win last year was against the Dolphins in Perth, and then their attack was they could not score points. It was really, really poor. And now he's gone to the Bulldogs, and they're struggling to score points. And I know I sound harsh, but I really believe that Adam O'Brien is he the contributing factor to the poor attack from the Bulldogs at the moment. I'm not sure, but there is a common denominator there. And it was interesting to see, how good the Bulldogs played against Newcastle in that trial match. They dominated Newcastle, and Newcastle came out, and I understand they only won this game by 8 points, but I feel like they were just so dominant through the game. I thought Dylan Lucas scored a good try. I thought he did a really good job when he came back on, but congratulations to the Newcastle Knights. I'm going to whiz through these games. The next game, Super Saturday, the Panthers and the Parramatta Eels. Parramatta defensively, they've been really poor to open the first few games. I mean, I understand they've lost 2-1-2, but defensively, I don't think Jason Ryles would accept what they've dished up in defence. They've been really, really poor. To allow 48 points scored against you and 50 plus against the Melbourne Storm, it's not acceptable. And, I think we really saw Jermaine Hopgood in terms of how big of a loss he is in this game. Jack Williams did his thing, but, interested to not see Jack DeBellin. Riley Smith defensively needs to improve. I thought Talon De Silva adds a bit of spark off the bench, but apart from that, Parramatta, sure, they got a bit of momentum, scored a couple of tries in the second half, but at the end of the day, they can't defend like that. They need to be a lot better in defence. For me, I thought Addo-Carr was probably one of their best players in that game, not just because he scored a try or two, but he genuinely just gets himself involved, and he gets the players around him. He picks up the energy when things are flat, and I think that's really important for an outside back to do in a football side. The Panthers, Nathan Cleary, fucking unbelievable. That little kick finding the post, to Lindsay Smith, was that deliberate? In my opinion, no. I think he shanked the kick, hit the post. He looked at the camera, he looked at a player, and the camera zoomed in on his face and went, that paid off, because that was a shit kick, and it worked out for them. They are so clinical in attack and defence, Penrith. They are suffocating sides early, and they're playing so good at the moment that after 10 minutes, they've already won the game. I have never seen in the NRL era a side be as good as the Penrith Panthers to start a season. It is absolutely fantastic to watch, and it is actually an honour and a privilege as a rugby league fan to watch how good they are. for me, they're red hot favourites to win the competition. I had Melbourne and Canterbury in the grand final for Melbourne to win this game, but everything happening now with Tui Kamakamika as well. No Eli Katoa. I'm really starting to doubt my prediction there. I think Penrith have been so good, so incredibly good. And I thought, as I mentioned, Lindsay Smith, Mitch Kenny, man, that's just unfortunate. It's going to be really disappointing to see him missing a week. For my opinion, it was all good, but at the end of the day, they held on. They did well. They rested Isaiah Yeo in the final quarter of this game, for the majority of the final quarter of this game. And, good on him for having a break. Well earned. Congratulations to the Penrith Panthers. Too good. The kicking game was outstanding. Blaze Talangi really connecting with, coming together with Nathan Cleary in the halves. He's really playing as just that outside back now that is, he's got the running game under control. His defense has improved out of sight. He knows how to score tries, set up tries. His short kicking game is brilliant. And I think he's working really well with Nathan Cleary in the halves. The following game, Cowboys 28 points to 24. Fuck me, another upset. Wow. Congratulations to the Cowboys. I thought Scott Drinkwater was instrumental in the game being won here in this game. Cohen Hess was really strong as well. Jake Clifford for me was the best player on the field. He was outstanding. Kicking game, sensational. Line breaks, try assists, scored a try. He has been fantastic for the Cowboys in the last couple of weeks. And congratulations to them now. 28 points to 24 over the Melbourne Storm. Melbourne up by 10 points. I think it was around 10 points with 8 minutes to go. And the Cowboys scoring 3 late tries to win this game. Not good enough from the Melbourne Storm. They are... Manly are fucked at the moment. They're a club in crisis, but Melbourne aren't. They're nowhere near the level of Manly. But I feel like Melbourne reminded me of Manly a little bit, where they are forgetting their DNA. They're forgetting on what it takes to play in a Melbourne jersey. And I think the Manly players haven't showed that they're, 3 losses at Brookvale. The first time they've lost 3 losses in a row since 2004 at Brookvale. I don't know where these second half fade outs come from. Neither does their coach, Craig Bellamy. I watched his press conference at the end of the game. He doesn't know what's happening. And for me, that's a huge concern. They need to stick in there together. Su'Fa'alago in attack, brilliant. Defensively, I thought a bit poor at times from out the back. Credit to the Cowboys. Hilam Lukey, fucking outstanding. So good to see him. He was missed last year for the Cowboys. He was a huge loss with that ACL injury. He's, of course, had long-term injuries a lot over his career over the last 4 or 5 years, but great to see him playing fit and healthy, and he looks like he's enjoying his football. So congratulations to Hilam Lukey. Ruben Cotter really led in this side as well through his performance. Congratulations to the Cowboys. They could have easily have just given up with 8 minutes to go, but they decided to play football and they decided to back themselves, which showed a lot of character. Interesting to see that they actually played for their coach in this game. So Todd Payton, say what you want about him, but at the end of the day, I understand he's under pressure. Will he have a job by the end of the year? Who knows at the Cowboys? But I've got no doubt that if he does get sacked, he will find another coaching gig in the NRL as head coach, because I genuinely think he is a good coach. He just needs to work out how to find consistency at the Cowboys. But that's a huge win for them. Congratulations to the Cowboys, as I mentioned, winning that game 28 points to 24. The first game on the Sunday ticket was between the Raiders and the Sharks. Xavier Savage, he's got an error in him, but he knows how to just owe it back to the side, doesn't he? His tries were fantastic in that game. That step he did, Teague Wilton rushed up and he ran around him, and oh man, that was so good to watch. The Raiders now 3 losses, only winning 1 game against Manly, which was in Golden Point. So that's not an ideal start, is it? Cronulla, I genuinely thought the Raiders were going to win this game. I thought it was going to be close, but congratulations to Cronulla. They really backed up. They've had a bit disappointing previous last couple of weeks. I thought they were really good in this game, the Sharks. I thought they defensively could have been a bit better, but at the end of the day, I thought they really played for one another. They played a lot like the Cronulla Sharks we're used to over the last few years, where They can allow some points in, but they also know how to score more than you. That's exactly what they did to the Canberra Raiders in this game. I thought Blake Brayley was sensational in this game. Thought he'd been a little bit flat the last couple of weeks, but congratulations to them. I thought he was to him. I thought he was really, really good in this game. Interesting to see now. I think it's probably time the Raiders put Owen Paddy back on the bench. He needs to add that spark. Jaden Brayley bringing a lot of leadership, high IQ and experience into the side off the bench. But I think Owen Paddy's spark, the Raiders probably could have done that with that in the second half. KO Weeks, his kick returns are sensational. So good to watch. Simas Sasangi, for me, has been one of the best centres in the game to start the season. Is traditionally a back rower, but I think he's been absolutely fantastic. Congratulations to the Cronulla Sharks winning this game. Will Kennedy was really impressive in this game. Trindle and Hines, for me, just swap the numbers over. Nico Hines, for me, he's obviously playing 5'8". Braden Trindle's taking full control of this side. Change the numbers over. Because I think, what's the point of just keeping Hines at halfback when he's not playing as a halfback? Psychologically, I think it could actually just take pressure off him not having the main, most important number on your back, the number 7. Psychologically, people may disagree with me saying this, but I genuinely believe it'll make a huge difference to Nico Hines just playing in the 6. I thought he was okay in this game. Nico Hines had a couple of good touches. His stats were good, but at the end of the day, you still probably just expect a little bit more spark in his attack at times. Probably I'm being harsh because they won by 12 points, but in the end of the day, there were a lot of touches there where I thought, man, you probably just need a little bit more happening there, just on his pay packet. He probably needs to deliver a little bit more, Nico Hines. The Titans beating the Dragons 22 points to 14. Arama Howe, the young back rower, absolutely fantastic for the Gold Coast Titans. Keanu Kinney, I thought, was a bit disappointing in this game. Had a few errors under the high ball. Probably his worst game in his first grade career so far, Keanu Kinney. I understand he's very inexperienced, but at the end of the day, he also had a lot of good touches too in this game. Philip Summy, that intercept try was fantastic. It really, at the end of the day, I felt that won them the game. That intercept try. Congratulations to the Titans. I thought they did really, really good in this game. I thought Jaden Campbell was strong. Tino, it's been a bit quiet the opening few weeks of this game, but I thought his leadership was very noticeable in this game. That game could have gone either way. I thought the Titans were really, really strong. Mo Fodawaker, thought stepped up as well. Semi Verrills was really good. I thought the Titans, it was a shit game of football. It was probably the worst game of football I've seen since the Tigers and the Titans in 2022 when they played up at Seabus Super Stadium. It was just a shit-a-thon. It was so bad. This game was fucking bad. It was the quality of this game. It was such a hard watch. With 20 minutes to go, sure, the game was exciting to an extent because the scores were level. The game was close, but it was so hard to watch. I thought the Dragons they should have won this game. You look at the lineups, the experience that was in this side. They let one go there. I hope Kyle Flanagan's okay. Apparently he was released from hospital 2 a.m. the following morning. Apparently he's okay. He's got a very sore neck. Apparently he will not be playing this week at all, without a doubt. To be concussed apparently he was concussed for around 4 to 5 minutes, which was a huge concern. Congratulations to the Dragons. The Titans in this game, but the Dragons, man, Valentine Holmes in attack is showing so much, but he's missing a lot of tackles too. He's rushing up, his defense. I'm just wondering if he's better off being on the wing, Valentine Holmes. Moses Sully was obviously a huge loss in this game, and no doubt the Couchman brothers were huge losses as well. But, Jacob Little, I love him off the bench. Damien Cook moves to that lock position when Little comes on. I think they're just, I don't know what they're lacking. It's really hard to see. I think they're just lacking spark. They're lacking speed. They're lacking experience in certain positions, aka the halves. Really disappointing. I thought Tyrell Sloan was okay. I thought, I swear Anthony Griffin wanted to get rid of him back in 2022. And then Flanagan comes in and there's always been talk about him leaving and he just stays at the Dragons. And I don't know. I think if he went to the Melbourne Storm or if he went into a really good system, I thought he could definitely become one of the best wingers in the game. He's just got that speed. Avado Carr, Jason Saab, he's so fast. He's a great finisher, Tyrell Sloan. But congratulations to the Titans. Arama Howe, fantastic. I don't know. The Gold Coast Titans, Josh Hannay would not be happy with that performance. Their attack was shit. Their defense was shit. Their defense was actually all right to keep the Dragons to 14 points with the quality that they had in that side in terms of Gutherson. I don't know. Hamish Stewart was good. Thought Hamish Stewart was really strong in defense, but Luciano Leilua had a couple of good touches in attack. I just thought the Titans, Josh Hannay will take the win. They'll take the 2 points, but at the end of the day, I don't think he'll be very happy at all. But he'll take it for round 4. And that is the round 4 review. So we had the Roosters beating Manly 33 points to 16. The Tigers beating the Warriors 32 to 14. The Broncos beating the Dolphins 26 to 12. The Knights beating the Bulldogs 24 points to 16. The Panthers 48 points to 20 over Parramatta. The Cowboys beating the Storm 28 to 24. The Sharks beating the Raiders 34 to 22. The Titans beating the Dragons 22 to 14. So I don't know how you guys are going in your tipping, but I am fucking struggling. I've only got 16 out of 32 correct to start the year, which is a shit show. So that's not good. 50% in 4 rounds. That goes to show how good I am at fucking tipping. So that's not good. So the upsets that won this week were obviously the Tigers, the Knights, the Cowboys beating the Storm and the Sharks beating the Raiders. Would you call that an upset? I would. I thought the Raiders were very much expected to win that game. Congratulations to all those sides that won, especially who weren't expected to win. Great to see this competition of the NRL is close, and the quality of football at the moment is the best I've ever seen since I've been watching rugby league since 2002. So thank you very much for listening to the Rugby League Forecast podcast. If you haven't done so already, please follow me on Spotify and subscribe to the Rugby League Forecast podcast on YouTube. Cheers.